We're going live. Live. It's me, live on my very first episode of the We Are Healing live podcast with Infiniti. I'm Infiniti. I'm so stoked for this day. We're going to give it a minute here for people to come in. I'm going to make sure that I am everywhere I need to be. On the YouTubes and the Facebooks. Brain fart. Did they move things around? So just making sure that, okay, live there. I always like to check just to make sure, especially my new YouTube channel, the We Are Healing live podcast YouTube channel. I am streaming to my old and oh, that's weird. That's that's confusing. Okay. That looks different than what it's supposed to. I'm so confused right now. What's new? There we go. Okay, that just looked very strange. I love it when things happen and you're just like, this is a completely different thing that I'm used to seeing. Okay, so one more thing to check on here before I get into it, giving this just a couple minutes to see if people will be joining. Yep, does say that I'm live here as well. Okay, cool. All right, now that I know I'm live everywhere, that's awesome. I really hope that we'll have, some people interacting here. This is my first inaugural episode of my podcast, the We Are Healing podcast. And really, this came through a few months ago to have a podcast that really highlights healing, holistic healing specifically. And just so everybody knows, from the very top, let's see, I want to make sure I got comments going. Yeah, comments are here. Okay, so the only way for me to know that people are here is if you comment. And Sean, hello, welcome. I am streaming to my Facebook page, Infiniti Empath Healing and Spiritual Guidance page. Hello, Amy. Hi. I am streaming to my new YouTube channel, which let me get the link for this. So if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, paste. Here is the link for my new YouTube channel that is going to exclusively be for this podcast, the We Are Healing live podcast YouTube channel. I do have my my other YouTube channel, Infinite Empath Transfiguration, same name as my website. That's where I've been posting for years now. Although I think I may start a whole new one there too. I don't know. Thinking about it. We'll see. But I've got this new one. Hello, Tracy. Welcome, everybody. Yay, first time. Woohoo. We got Amy here. Woohoo. We got Sean here. Welcome everybody who's here. And if you're watching this in the replay, thanks for watching this in the replay. I appreciate it. The only place that I really was stoked to stream to was my new Facebook group. That is for this podcast. And I'm going to link that here as well. But apparently YouTube did a new thing with groups where they can't StreamYard, can't stream directly through it, whatever. and there was other issues, technical issues. There's been a lot of weird technical issues lately with stuff. Can you guys all hear me okay? Let me know. Hopefully you can. So hopefully in the future, I'll be able to stream directly to the the Facebook group. But for now, I'm on my page. I'm on YouTube. And this is where I will be every single Friday at 6 o'clock Pacific. And I'm super stoked for this. I was stoked when it came through to have a podcast that's really centered around healing and holistic healing specifically, and spirituality and how it's all intertwined. We have so much to uncover and so much to share with each other about our healing journeys and healers and people who've been healed by healers and people that are one and the same like me. I would have never guessed if you would have said to me, years ago, you're going to be this miraculous, amazing healer and really help people eliminate chronic illness and pain and completely turn their lives around. I would have said, you're completely nuts. Oh, cool. You're completely nuts. I am chronically sick and in pain myself. So how would I ever get to a point where I'm healing people from these things? But that's exactly what happened. And I'm not the only one that's happened for. So we have healers who were sick themselves and went through a journey of healing or went through an event of healing. Mine is a journey, an event, and a journey, an event and a journey. But there was one really, really big event that really was the big one. The things that happened before it, I didn't even, they were detrimental to me in a lot of ways. I didn't understand what was happening. I had 2 Kundalini events, one in 2009, one in 2012 that really messed me up because I was in no way conscious of anything like that. They were spontaneous and they were difficult, physically, very, very painful and difficult. And I was already chronically ill with fibromyalgia and Hashimoto's disease. That's a thyroid, that's the hypothyroid illness. But then a while later, I did start waking up. Karen, hi, love. Welcome. Yay, Karen. Karen on the YouTube. Hello, my dear. Please make sure to subscribe to my new Facebook. Not just Facebook group, but I want to make sure that's there too. The new YouTube channel. Yeah. Okay, cool. Make sure you guys subscribe there as well. Hi, Karen. So good to see you. I was thinking about you the other day. So glad you're here. So I had a lot of different things. It's never just the one thing, but sometimes we see it like that. Like we think like, oh, this is the one thing that woke me up. This is the one thing that healed me. When really, when we take a step back and look, there's a lot that leads us to an experience or event or a journey and spiritual awakening and healing for sure. But it's been quite a journey since then. And healing has been kind of the core and the center of what I've been guided to pay attention to facilitate, to work on for myself, to help clients through, to help people understand energy and being an empath and a divine incarnate and how all these things work together and the spiritual war. Because there's definitely that has a lot to do with all of it. And I know in this podcast, we're going to talk about so many different things week to week. But what was really cool was that it was, because I've had 2 different podcasts. I've done the podcast thing, not super consistently because I've done all these different things, but I did have a podcast called oh my gosh, I'm spacing right now. It was light workers, empaths and light workers, whatever, something like that. I can't believe I'm spacing out right now. But anyway, it was recorded and I would post or publish as guided. And then last year I started a new one called Infiniti Shaman Circle podcast, and was a recorded one as well. And that is connected to this podcast. So you guys, there's also, of course, you could listen to this podcast on all your podcast platforms after I get this download and separate the audio. So it's going to take about 24, 48 hours. If that's ever, something that you would want to do, obviously you can listen to the podcast. It's always, I think, funner to watch. But that podcast, while I did record, in the first one specifically, I would have guests on or I would do lives here and there. It wasn't a live podcast. And when it came down for this podcast about the, healing podcast, the We Are Healing, and that's We Are Healing and we are healing others as well. It encompasses all of it. Again, welcome everybody. I'm going to take a break here in a second. Let me show some of this before I get there. I can share this with you, Sean. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Podcasts about healing, showcasing healers, what they do, the different modalities of healing. Because while I would love everybody to be my client and me to do my magic on everybody, I know that I'm not meant for everybody and everybody's not meant for me. And that there's many people in different levels and into different things. And there's so many different ways that we can work to heal ourselves. And I want to showcase holistic healing in a way that props up other healers, gives a platform to share their stories. What made them become a healer? Was it their own healing event? Was it they were inspired because they had sick people in their lives and they wanted to help heal them, or whatever. And they just want to help you, whatever it is, what is your journey? How's that been? And tell us some stories about, healing sessions or clients that you've had that really stand out and make you feel really good for the work that you've done. Then I want to have people on that have been healed, whether through their own events and their own work on themselves or working with a healer. So I want to showcase both of these things. I come from a position where I was sick. I did have a miraculous healing myself. I went through a lot spiritually after that. Then I was guided to become a healer myself. So I have that perspective, and then seeing what that does for people in their lives. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And in this day and age, we need more of that. So anyway, I'm going to take a little break here and read here. I'm being tested right now, Sean says. On the bus, someone sat on my bag while seating and I didn't even let me move it. She seems unaware of her surroundings, so I'm forgiving her. Oh, well, hopefully it gets better, sweetheart. Yes, definitely spiritual war, negative energy. I'm sharing this so everybody can see it because I am on different platforms, the 2 different platforms, so everybody can see. Negative energy tries to get you while you're on the path. Yes, of peace. Yes, definitely. That is for sure. So I was excited about just the podcast and having this podcast and having interviews and doing all that. But then when it came out or down and downloaded that it would be a live podcast, then I got really excited because being live has been something I have thoroughly enjoyed over the years. I like it way better than recording videos or podcasts. I like the interaction. I like being live. I like the community of it, the energy of being live with people. And there's just something to it that you cannot replicate when you have a recorded podcast. So this, to me, I want to make this space on Friday nights for us, for, it's the end of the week, it's the evening for those of you on the East Coast, or, even earlier time zones, it's even later than that. For me, it's only 6 p.m., but it's the evening on Friday, end of the work week for many, many people, getting into the weekend, unwinding, chilling out. Let's have fun. Let's talk about upbeat things. And that would be healing, how we are healing ourselves, healing each other, healing the world in the different ways that we do it. And really telling stories, inspirational stories of the 180 and the process of that comes with all that. Again, welcome to everybody that's here, whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube. I'm so stoked for you to be with me today. And I don't know that you're here. Nobody will know that you're here unless you leave a comment. So please comment and let me know that you're here. Who's here? Who's all here? I see 8 to 10 people kind of coming in and out. But I don't know who all is here. So welcome to everybody that's here. So the vision for this podcast is a open-hearted, safe, peaceful, supportive, loving space that also has, I'm going to be hitting this a lot, I know it, that also has Christopher. Hey, welcome. Hi. Yes, tell me you're here. Say hi. Don't be shy. That also has the Facebook group. So it's my first public Facebook group. And I do have 2 private Facebook groups for my paid groups. I have the Unstoppable Empath course and group membership, which is all about cords, energy cords, learning how to work with them, and me teaching you that, and having weekly meetings, and the private Facebook group that's only $35 a month. You get a lot from it. It's life-changing. It just does so much for you. It's critical to know how to work with your own energy cords. It's something you need to do for yourself, like eating, sleeping, and exercising, is working with your own energy and energy cords, because a lot of that needs to be done. It's just not practical or feasible to, and nobody else can do it for you. There's certain things when it comes to healing in your own energy that you need to learn to do for yourself. So that's what that course teaches. I have a private Facebook group for that. I have another one for my Awakening Shaman Circle. That is a totally different one. I have another thing called the Soul Quest program. And, but this is totally different because it's a public Facebook group. I want people who follow the podcast or on the podcast, and just watch the podcast. People are just all about the healing and spiritual, our spiritual journey, and sharing on there. So I created that community as well. Linlin de Leon, welcome. Hi. So I really want this to be something that so many people look forward to every week, to come, to hang out with me, to meet new people, to hear new stories, to be inspired, to be inspiring, to go to the Facebook group, to engage, to tell stories, to really have a place. And through StreamYard, I am able to bring people up at any time during a live show. So whether or not it's scheduled and booked, and I know you're going to be on my show and you're a guest and we promote it and everybody knows about it, or you just find me one day, then you're like, hey, what's this? It's the We Are Healing live broadcast every single Friday night at 6 p.m. Pacific with Infiniti, and whoever is meant to be here and share and shine and be part of this beautiful, wonderful energy that has come in to help me create this. I've been so excited about it. I'm so stoked it's finally here. By the way, can you believe that it's freaking May already? That blows me away. I'm spitting all over myself. I can't believe it. But yeah, okay, let's see. We have somebody else, Luis. Hello. We have Lynn. Okay, wait. Things are going too faster. So here we go. We have Lynn De Leon. We have Luis. Hello. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Hermoso programa. Oh, thank you so much. Let me share here. Speaking in Spanish, I do understand Spanish. Welcome. For those of you, yes, right, exactly. I cannot believe it is May. It's going to be a great month. This is when things really get rolling in the world of cosmic energies coming through and all that good stuff. May is when things every single year since I've been conscious and paying attention to our monthly stargates, and when it really starts to rock and roll is May. For sure. So let's see. Oh, there's here we go. May will be a good month. May will be a fantastic month for sure. Amy says, this has been the fastest year of my life. Seriously. I mean, time has been going fast here we go. It's just been the fastest year of my life. No shit. I do have a potty mouth, people. The naughty words will come out. We're all adults here. Let me know if you have a little one in the room. But otherwise, I do kind of let it fly. I believe in expression. And if it's not directed at anybody, I just let it go. So yeah, no shit. Really fast timelines this year. Incredible. I was talking to my client Ryan earlier, and I was like, I go, I'm going to see you next on the new moon. And he was like, he kind of looked at me like, what? And I was like, yeah, it's like in a couple of days. Like, didn't we just have the full moon? It's like full moon, new moon, full moon, new moon, full moon, new moon. I swear to you, it's like I'm barely getting over like, okay, that was a pretty intense full moon. Oh, we have the new moon in 3 days. And it's been like that all year. It's been wild. So anyway, it's amazing to me. But here we are, almost halfway through the year already, which, by the way, I want to go back and let you all know something before I continue. Something very, very big and important that I want to share with you. I want to I'm going to share this link because lovies, I have my Soul Quest program. I'm going to paste this in here and share it with y'all. Boop, boop. That is the details to my Soul Quest program. It is magical and amazing, and it goes into so much for yourself to really is a Soul Quest program. It helps you get so much closer to yourself and your soul, and it starts again exactly in a month on June 3rd. It's a Monday on June 3rd, and it's a 8-week program. You get maps of assessments and questions to fill out that are directly related to each of your bodies, your spiritual body, mental body, emotional body, physical, energetic, abundance bodies. Then the 7th map is your true identity, because who you are today as an awoken, spiritual, beautiful, divine incarnate being is different than who you were before, right? So it helps to kind of solidify, who am I now? And then the last map is your spirit name. My spirit name is Infiniti. That was what came through years ago for me to the vibration, the resonance of it to go by. And that map helps you sort out and connect to your spirit name. So it starts, and it's a lifetime membership, Facebook group as well, and it starts in a month. There's the link there to check it out. I do take payments. Let me know if you need payments above and beyond, where it's a 2-month program. I'll take payments it's set up to take payments for up to 5 months if you need it for more than that, because it is a very deep, enriching program, and it's lifetime. You can take the program again and again. You can start at any time. It's not like, oh, we do 8 weeks and then we take a break, and then we do 8 weeks, and we take a break. It's, you can come in at any time. So I really, really want people to take a look at that and reach out if you're interested in that program. It's called the Soul Quest program. Alrighty. And then again, the Unstoppable Empath program is all about chords, learning chord cutting, learning chord resets. I take you through a very specific course. I'm with you every single week in a meeting. We have a Facebook group. It's meant to help you maximize your energy, detach from energy cords, whether it's people, traumas, addictions, situations, whatever. And it really changes the course of your timelines. That is only $35 per month, you guys. I basically give it away. It's called the Unstoppable Empath Course and Membership. So there's a link for that. This is not a webinar. It's not meant to be commercial, but I do have these tremendous offerings that I was guided to channel and create. And they're fantastic. And I love doing them. I love groups. I think groups are amazing. I love my one-on-one work with my clients. I have clients that do both in multiple groups as well. So it's really something to look into. And if it speaks to you, then it's for you. And reach out if you want to talk to me about it further. I offer free consultations for serious souls. You can meet with me. We can talk about all the different, options that I have. And I don't let money get in the way if you don't. So I'm all about healing the money wound and working with people in a really universal, beautiful way to mutually help each other. So there you go. Okay, let me catch up here real quick. And Amy says, so I'm not the only one. That's a relief. Yeah, she's talking about the time going by so fast. Yeah, no, you're not the only one, honey. Time is moving by really, really quickly. Okay, what else is here? Siempre, we see from Luis as always. I think that he's talking about time moving fast. I'm not quite sure. And we have Amy here says, I've checked it out, and by next year, I've made it a goal to have my shit together enough to do this. That program is something I'm so set on doing. I wish so much I could do it this year. Well, sweetie, like I said, I'm willing to work with people if that's what you need. If it's a money situation, I don't know if that is what it means to get your shit together, but if it's a money thing, please reach out. Let me know. Yeah, it is a really, really awesome. I channeled it when I was on hiatus last year. It just came through. I was like, I thought I was supposed to be on a break, but it all came while I was on a hiatus, tapping into my soul. And then guess what my soul told me? We need to create a Soul Quest program for other people to tap into their souls. And I was like, okay, let's do that. And it was beautiful, the first go around on it. But you can start, now with the Unstoppable Empath Course and Membership. Like I said, that's only $35 a month. I practically give it away with what you get in that course. And I highly suggest that you take a look at that. Yeah, just, across the board, everybody, if you want to work with me, let me know. And my schedule's busy and whatever, and, money's tight and whatever the things are. I believe when there's a will, there's a way. And if we choose to work with ourselves and each other and think out of the box, nothing is impossible, right? Nothing is impossible. Okay. So, moving on. Okay. So I promised in this episode, I was going to tell the tale of my miraculous healing that happened about 11 years ago, 12 years ago. And yes, exactly. Yes. And that was a very amazing day for me. It's so clear in my mind, everything about it. And I did write an article about it too. So let me share that. I did post earlier. It's an article called Instant Healing: The Day I Escaped Fibromyalgia Forever, which is true. So let me paste that here. If you guys haven't read this article, I'm going to talk to you about it right now. But if you want to read the article, go ahead and read the article. That's what that is. I'm hitting you guys with so many links, but that's what that is. That, and if you follow that link, that'll take you, you'll see that's Medium. You'll see my profile. You could go to my profile if you haven't read my articles, the channelings, and I'm just whatever I'm guided to post there. It's quite the library because I've been posting and publishing for several years now on Medium. So I had been sick. Let me just set the stage, right? I have been sick my whole life. From the time I was a child, a very, very small baby, there was digestive issues. There was headache issues. There were aches and pains and joint issues. There was exhaustion. There was sensitivities to different things. And no matter what, now I'm going to be 52 this year. And so I was born in 1972. And so things, a little different than they are today, just a tad, just a smidge. But in a lot of ways, very much the same. You don't feel well, something is wrong, something is off, and you go to the doctor and you go, hey, doctor, this is what's going on with me, or this is what's going on with my child. What's up? And they run tests, they check things out, and they find out what's wrong and, whatever, or they don't. Well, with me, they never did. No matter what, they never did. My whole life, they never could figure out. They just said, yeah, she's experiencing this, but why? And why are all tests negative? And why doesn't she have this disease or that disease? It took a long, long time. Before, in the early 90s, when fibromyalgia was finally made a thing. And when that happened, many people in the medical community did not like it because there wasn't a real test for it. It was very elusive and ambiguous and confusing to a lot of people. But for me, when I finally was guided to go or referred to a rheumatologist. I had all of the criteria to a severe degree. She was like, and at the time I was only 25, 26 years old. And she was like, wow, for somebody so young, you have this so severely. And I was like, yeah, life sucks, man. It's been really shitty for a long, long time. I mean, I was a mom. I was a young mom. I had a small child, and I couldn't do what I wanted to do with Sean's 52 as well. Yep, growing up in the 80s and 90s. Yep, growing up in the 80s. A different time. A lot of ways, simpler time, right? But, there was never, even though I finally found myself with, getting a diagnosis, and that felt good to have a validation to what was going on with me, because things would shift and change. Sometimes I would feel better than others. Sometimes it was all over the place. And, at a certain point, people look at you and go, you're fucking nuts. You're just crazy. You're a hypochondriac. And I wasn't any of those things. I was completely out of control with what was going on with my body, and nothing made any rhyme or reason about it. It really was very, very confusing. But once there was that distinction put on it, at least there was like, okay, now you're in this group that has this thing. And these are the medications that we prescribe to help with pain and sleep, and it's called maintenance medication. And I was like, ooh, yeah. I'm so excited to how is this going to help me? Well, guess what? It really didn't. It really, really didn't. I mean, I hated taking any opioids. I mean, the only time I would was very like rarely when I had a particular hip pain that would be set off when I would get on my period. It would be really, really bad. Not every month, but then I would take a Vicodin because it always made me nauseous. The muscle relaxants, yeah, they put me to sleep, but it was really hard getting up. And you named it. For one medicine or another, it was just, they weren't miracles. They were duct tape, and the duct tape sucked, to kind of keep it all together. And I was basically miserable. I tried to work different jobs. I'd been working since I was 14 years old. And once I was about 26, 27, after a few years after I had my son, it's just being pregnant and having my son made it so much worse. Because it was just so much more stress on the body. It was really, really hard after that. Don't get me wrong, I loved having my child, but it was like, oh wow. And I wasn't diagnosed until after 5 years after I had my son. So it was just, me not being right for the longest time and never really understanding why, so anyhow, once I hit around 26, 27, it got really severe. And it got to the point where I literally could not do life and work. I had to get on state disability. And there began an ongoing cycle that was, after several years, became really apparent what was going on, that I would kind of get overloaded to a certain point where I was so exhausted and so much in pain that I had to call out from work over and over and over again. Got to a point where it's like I just couldn't work, and then I would get on disability. I would be on disability for a year, which is so hard because it's so much less than you're used to making. And I liked working. I was a naturally an active person. And, even though I wasn't an active person, I was somebody who liked being in the world and being active in it. But I would be on disability and have to go to, basically be in bed most of the time. And then over time, I would start to feel better and better and better. And then I would get another job, be in that job for a while. Then I would get overloaded. And I was like an administrative assistant. I was, all the just office type stuff. So fast forward, this cycle went, I think that cycle happened 5 or 6 times. So 5 or 6 years into my 30s, I was doing this work for a year or so, get overloaded, have to go on disability, be on disability for a year, then eventually get in, and just again and again. I found myself in the veterinary field. I thought that was the greatest thing ever because I could be around animals and people. Little did I know, it was probably one of the worst places for me to be because I was so energetically sensitive. But let's just understand that through my entire life, there was zero understanding of who or what I was. I did know at a very early age that I was psychic. I was channeling angels and giving angel messages when I was 5 years old, and just knowing shit and telling people stuff, and messages would come through. And I was a tiny little child. And so that I experienced many metaphysical and spiritual things, from seeing apparitions to levitating to astral projecting and remote viewing and telekinesis. My grandfather was a parapsychologist, so he just had a ton of fun with me in Colombia when I went and visited there when I was a child. So it's not like I wasn't aware that I was different. It just never correlated. Your physical hell equals your psychic stuff. These two worlds didn't collide. There never was a doctor going, so have you ever experienced anything psychic? Are you sensitive to things energetically? Like, never was that on the menu to discuss. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it was the reason for me being so sick was because I'm a psychic physical empath, was I'm super sensitive, picking up on all of this energy. And as a psychic physical empath, there's not as many of us as there are the other empaths on the spectrum: psychic empath, physical empath, and then psychic physical empath. We literally feel in our bodies what other people feel in their bodies, on top of also feeling the emotional stuff too. So I was so sick because I was absorbing, I was naturally like feeling people's energy, and I didn't know at the time, also sending out my life force to whatever was off. So this was highly depleting, and I was holding on to all this stuff, and I had no clue I was doing any of it. I had no idea, no conscious understanding of this whatsoever. So that was it. I lived a miserable life. It got to a point where after the second Kundalini event and a month-long headache that I was on morphine for, because that's how intense that shit was. And coming out of that event and just kind of getting my momentum again. And then I got a project with a couple of people working from home. It was the first time I'd ever worked from home in my entire life. And this was about 15 years ago. And I noticed after a year or two, look, I'm not getting down again. I'm just staying level. It's not, that cycle isn't happening. And I was like, could this be just because I'm like at home? Like it was hard for me to understand why that was the case, but that was the case. So that was a little confusing. So anyway, as I was able to sustain a certain level of energy, even though I still was in pain all the time, I still had issues, it was hard for me to sleep and all this stuff, it was better. And I was guided to a few different kind of spiritual things. And that led me to Louise Hay House, which I'm sure you all are aware of. She was a beautiful woman, but she was the one who had the story, The Secret. That was hers. And the whole LOA, law of attraction, was her thing with The Secret and teaching people about the law of attraction and The Secret. And I had heard of it for a while, but finally, time was right, everything in divine right timing. And I was guided to the movie because there's a book. I've never read the book. I was guided to the movie. I watched the movie and I was really inspired. And I was like, wow, here are people who were really sick. One guy was a quadriplegic, and he was like, I don't know if you guys, sorry, bear with me if you've seen this before, or if you know this story, but he was a paraplegic, and he was told he was never going to walk again. And he was like, no, I'm not accepting that. I'm going to walk again. I'm going to make sure I heal and I'm going to walk. And he actually did. And it was all kind of surrounded around this, law of attraction thing. Like, he wants to make this happen. And so he went through the motions. I don't remember the details. Like I said, it was 15 years ago that I watched this movie or more. But there was a lot in that made me think and go, wait a minute. So there's this whole other, thing. And it was meant to spark hope. And I never had hope before. It makes me emotional because I remember going, that's incredible. All I've ever wanted is to be okay, is to be healthy and normal and count on making plans and being able to be there and not being in pain 24/7 and all of that stuff. And here's these people and their different stories, and they were able to heal. And a lot of them have these really, really, really serious things. And I had fibromyalgia, and it was very serious to me. But, you know, in the scheme of things, other people had way more serious things, you know, but it sparked something in me. And because it came through this, then it was like, oh, you know, then it just was kind of like domino. Found myself into the world of Louise Hay. And back then, I don't think they do it anymore. But back then it was this thing called a Hay House. And it was this like 2-week event of all these different speakers, and it was all about spirituality and healing. It was my first kind of real experience in this world. And oh, thank you for the hug. I appreciate it. I was guided to a recorded guided meditation. It's like every day they put out like different, like you could go to live meetings or whatever, you know, do workshops, just kind of depended on what you were going to do. But there was just one that was a guided meditation. It wasn't live. It was just a recording or whatever. It was a guided meditation to connect with your spirit guides. And I was like, ooh. And I was just like, yeah, I was like, oh, you got to do that one. So this is when things got really interesting. I had already started feeling much, much better over the previous 4, 5, 6 months. I had started doing yoga a few months before. I had lost maybe 30 pounds. I had gotten rid of most of my closet because I went from like a size, 12, 14 to like a size 4. So things were already kind of rocking and rolling in that way. Like things were shifting. Let me put it that way. But I was still taking all the medications every day. I was still in pain. I was still fatigued. Like it wasn't the magic sauce, right? But things felt better. I was feeling, just better. When you lose that much weight, you're going to feel good. You're going to feel better. So I did this, got on my floor. My dogs are on the bed behind me. I lived in a converted garage that got very hot in the summer and very cold in the winter. But I was on the floor of my converted garage, and I put on this guided meditation, and she had a beautiful voice, and I started listening to her, and real quick, like within a minute, right at the beginning, her voice started doing that peanut thing. When the cartoon, the Peanuts, and you hear like any adults talk, it's like wah 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 wah. It's like, and that's like she started to sound like that. And I remember just going, what's going on? That's weird. You're like, oh, I can't. And then she completely was gone. And I was in somewhere else. I was home sitting there, but I felt being pulled in it somewhere different. And to my left side, like with my eyes closed, to my left side, there was this huge ball of electric blue light that I could see, with my third eye, with my eyes closed. And the invitation to go into the light. Please come, follow the light, go into the light, go into the light. Like, I thought you only heard that when you're dying. And I'm like, wait a minute. What's happening right now? So I went, that sounds like a good idea. Like, I'm a very adventurous, curious person. So I was like, I don't know what's happening right now, but I want to take this invitation and go into the light. So as soon as I decided, yes, I'm going to go into the light, I was in the light, whoosh, and woo, all around me. And it was a wormhole. I don't know how else best to describe it, but it was black and light. And I was through it, and just moving. But I was still, but it was moving. It was very confusing. And it went on and on and on. I'm like, what is going on? To the point where I was just like, okay, how do I get out of here? Because I feel, now I'm starting to feel a little like, it felt very like it's never going to end kind of thing. And then I popped out into a space that was just infinite and rainbow and misty and electric and energy and so beautiful. But there was like nothing there. It was just energy and rainbow light and sparkles and all this beauty, like just felt amazing. And I was like, what's going on? Like, where am I? And I felt so tiny. I remember feeling so small. In this humongous space, in a space that I wouldn't even like conjure up in my wildest dreams. It just was so expansive and so like the overall color was like this beautiful kind of pink. Yeah, very rose quartz kind of pale, beautiful pink. But it was so dynamic and so beautiful. And I remember just going, where am I? Where am I right now? And all of a sudden, there were these really huge entities, big, tall, oblong, energetic entities, zero body, zero, no face, no arms, nothing to, be distinct. Like it's just long energy, but it felt like if I was standing there, it was just like, they were so tall, they were so big, and they came in a semicircle in front of me. And they were like, one would light into the other and to the other, and it would go back and forth. And then it was just telepathic communication from that point on. They welcomed me to the space. They said they were so happy that I was there. They have to talk to me. They have to tell me what I need to know about myself so I can understand who and what I was. And I was like, what? It was so bizarre. And I was like, okay, like I'm here, like, let's do this. Right. So they started telling me how I'm not really sick. Nothing's really actually wrong with me, that I'm just very sensitive to energy. And really, up until that moment, I really never thought about energy, not my own energy or anybody else's energy or energy in general. This was like 15 years ago. Or 12 years ago, whatever. Yeah. So people weren't talking about energy back then like they're talking about now. Now just, the friggin' guy at the grocery counter is like, hey, energy's good in here today. Like people are talking about energy and nobody talked about energy back then. So it was this topic of energy that came through. And I'm like, okay. Telling me how I'm so sensitive to energy and that I've always been this way. And in every single incarnation, I've been a medicine man or a medicine woman, a healer, a shaman, in that genre. And I was like, okay, that tracks because my whole life I've been an advisor, people would just always come to me. I was always helping people. And, it's like, yeah, I was sick myself, but I was, constantly the one people would go to for help. So it was like, okay, that tracks, that feels right. And because when you're being told these things in this environment, it's either yes or no, ding or the dong is what I call it. And everything was dinging. Everything they said was ding, 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 ding. And they said, you are not like everybody else, the way that you feel the world and the way that you feel other people and the way, just how you are and why you've been sick this whole time is because of how you feel energy and how you move energy without even knowing it. And I was like, okay, like it was very hard for me to understand, as you can imagine. If you have zero experience or awareness or understanding, if somebody's telling, and they would like, different ones would come in front and start, so they all like would shift and be the one talking to me. It was all telepathic. And so I was just like, okay, like trying to understand like what they were telling me. And then they started showing me like a slideshow of my life and showing me different people in different situations where they were sick or hurt, and showing me animals throughout my life that were sick or hurt. And then saying, do you remember how fast they healed? Think about this person and what was wrong with them and how fast they healed. Think about this dog, what happened and how fast they healed, how sick they were, how hurt they were, and how fast they healed. And I was like, yeah. And they go, that was you. I go, what? And they tried to help me understand that through my life in these different situations, that naturally and without thinking about it, just like this crystal would transmute energy from positive or negative to positive, so would I, without even thinking about it. So I would just, with the very act of caring about somebody or an animal and taking care of them and wanting them to get better, I was healing them. But I didn't know I was doing that. And it is true. There were many occasions where the people or the animals around me were not okay. And within a very short amount of time, they became okay. And never, ever did I once ever think that that was because of me. Why would I? Why would I think that? I knew that I was helping them or taking care of them or whatever that it was, but I never attributed their quick progress and healing to have anything to do with me. Why would I? Again, why would I? But then in that space, they said, this is because of you. And I went, come again now. Like, how is that possible? Again, because of your energy. And you're not really sick. There's nothing really wrong with you. You're physically very, very healthy. It's the energy that is within you that you've been absorbing from others around you, from people being stressed, from people being sick, from people being hurt, from people being emotionally upset, all of these things in the world around you, the people that you're connected to and love, and the world at large, you're transmuting this energy, you're bringing this energy in, and it's detrimental to you because you haven't known what you're doing. And ding, 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 ding. Still, though, it was hard for me to really understand. And it was a weird environment to begin with, right? But they showed me the slideshow. They told me what was all connected to that. And, just trying to get me to understand you're not really sick. You have a problem of energy and you not understanding. And what you need to do is understand all of this so you can help yourself and then you can be okay. And I was like, okay, like I still didn't understand. Really, like it was like things made sense. And at the same time, I'm like, but how does that work? Like it really did. Like it did and it didn't make sense, as you can understand or imagine. So, but it got to the point where we're just kind of like, okay, we've told you everything we're here to tell you. And now it's time for you to go back. And at that point, I decided, no, thank you. I like it here so much better. It felt good. It felt so peaceful. It was so beautiful. And I thought about my life And it felt so far away. And I felt so far removed from my body. Like I was nowhere near my body, completely away from my body. I had astral projected. What I came to understand actually several years later was the realm of the archangels. They were archangels that I was with, but they didn't identify themselves as that. They certainly at that point did not identify me as an archangel. I definitely could not have processed that at that point. It was many years later when that came through. They did not tell me where I was or who they were. I never even asked who they were. It was unimportant. I just knew that they were beautiful and loving, and I loved being where I was. And they were so everything amazing. And again, they were huge. I remember just feeling so small as I sat there, and they were just like these amazing beings and projecting all these things. And like I said, I've had very intense spiritual and metaphysical experiences my whole life. So this is kind of definitely off the charts, but kind of par for the course as well. And I didn't want to leave. And there was a decent amount of time of us going back and forth and me saying, no, I don't want to go. I don't have really anything to live for. And another thing for me to point out here is that for a while there, I was pretty, I don't know if I'd actually say suicidal, but I was idolizing suicide. I was thinking about it all day, every day, in different ways that I could kill myself. The only thing that really stopped me was I had these animals that I needed to take care of every day. And I was like, that would kind of, do one of those things. This is when things started to like really heat up because I got really dark. It got very, very dark for me because I was literally living a useless, pointless existence. I was in pain. I wasn't doing anything. I couldn't live a normal life. Hell had been my life for such a long time in various ways that I just didn't, I would just like fantasize about killing myself. So when I was in this beautiful realm and I felt so good and I felt so detached from my body, and I didn't feel any pain and I didn't feel any heaviness. And it just felt like heaven. It felt like heaven. And I was like, no, I don't want to go back. And they said, no, you have to go back. And I said, no, I don't want to go back. Why do I have to go back? Like, why do I really have to go back? And they said, because you're alive and you need to go back, or else, you're going to be kind of like comatose, like you're not meant to be here. You need to go back. And it really went back and forth and back and forth, and they couldn't send me away. Oh, hello. Hi. Look at this, you guys. I got a butterfly in here. Hi. Okay, obviously I went back. Obviously I conceded. I lost the fight and I went, okay, I'll go back. And boom, through the wormhole again I went in the opposite direction. All the lights and the blues and the whites and the black and the thing, and on and on and on and on and on. And then wah, 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 the lady's voice. And then I started hearing her clearly. And she goes, thank you so much for like being a part of this, doing, whatever. And literally wrapping up the guided meditation as I was coming back into my body. I started hearing the world. I heard my dog scratching. I heard the traffic outside. I felt my body. I was like, still like literally, I was away, away. And I was just like, remember feeling my carpet and just kind of opened my eyes, and everything felt so harsh. I don't know how else to put that. It just felt, everything just felt so like harsh. And I'm like, fuck, here I am again, back in my body and feeling all the things and just kind of, and immediately from this side of my body, it was like, get up. We got to clean your energy out. You got to get up right now. And I was like, okay. It was like literally like somebody shouting in my ear. And I was like, whoa, okay. It was like, get up, get up, get up. You got to do this now. You got to do this now. And it was like so intense. And it was the same voices, the same. And I go, what a beautiful sight. I know, right? And I go, hi, Jason. And I go, okay, like it was so jarring. Everything was just like, one thing after another. I'm in this realm, I'm in the wormhole, I'm back in my body. I'm feeling like it's just, and get up, get up, get up. It was literally like somebody screaming in my face, get up, get up, get up. We got to work on your energy. We got to get it out. And I was like, all right. So I get up and I'm standing there in my bedroom and they go, you need to, and then they start telling me, you have to think about these different areas of your body. And you have to think about this freaking butterfly. And you have to think about your, at that point I was almost 40. So think about your, all the years. And they just had me thinking about stuff and they go, just think about pulling out this energy. And I honestly can't remember exactly the words, like what exactly they said, but it was very specific, right? So I started doing that. I started going, okay, like whatever they told me to do. And I started feeling into my body and I was clearly primed. That's what the word that they use, primed. While I was in their realm, while they were talking to me, there was this whole thing going on with my body elsewhere, back at home. And my consciousness was like coming in and all of these things were, hitting at the same time. It's a wild experience, you guys. Okay. So then it was like, I started, pulling on my energy and feeling this going on. And it felt like sludgy shit, like tar, the crap that you see in pipes, and it was just like gunky and dark and heavy. And I just kept doing what they told me to do. I did it for about 90 seconds. And the more I did it, the better I felt. And it got to a point where they were like, okay, you're done. And I went, oh my God, what just happened? Because I was perfectly fine. I felt in my body like nothing I ever felt in my 40 years. I felt no pain. Zip. Not in my joints, not in my muscles, not in my anything. Nowhere was there pain. I went through years of feeling like my arms weighed 100 pounds each, that like moving took so much effort to move. And here I was standing there in my bedroom, just this whole experience that lasted a total of not even an hour, because the guided meditation, I think, was like 40 minutes. And it felt, this PS, when I was in that space, it felt, I swear to God, it felt like I was there for 5 minutes. And that's how astral feels. If you do my spirit walks, you'll know if it's a half-hour spirit walk, it'll feel like you're there 10, 15 minutes. If it's an hour spirit walk, it feels like 30 minutes. If it's a 2-hour spirit walk, it feels like you're there for an hour. And that's what it felt like. Just time isn't the same. So I knew right when I came back how long I had been gone. And I was like, whoa, this is, because I knew how long the meditation was, and I had to think about it. Can I sit here for 40 minutes comfortably? Because that's not typically comfortable for me. But I went, well, we'll see. We'll see. So immediately when I got back in my body, I knew how long it would be. And they had me get up immediately. I just sat there for like 5 seconds going, okay, I'm in, hearing my dogs, feeling the carpet, and then, like get up. And, so it was a very short amount of time. Everything was very, relatively speaking, very, very short. And all the heaviness, all the pain, all the everything, all the fogginess, the all of it, gone. I felt like I could just float away. I never felt so light in my life ever. Nothing hurt. And they were like, you did it. You did it. And now everything will be different. I was like, what the fuck just happened? What just happened? And then they said, goodbye. And they were gone. And I was just like, okay. And I just was there in this new reality, not understanding anything of really what just happened. But I knew that I've never felt like that before in my life. And I never wanted that to change. And I can tell you, here we are 12 years later, it never did. And I've just gotten better and healthier and stronger and lighter and more powerful exponentially since then. I have learned a lot since then. But I will let you know that after that, it was weird. Is that an understatement? Is that like, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Okay, Captain Obvious. Like, obviously, it was weird because I mean, here I was, had this experience that was so unexpected and magical and wild and life-changing, literally. So then the next day I was like, okay, whatever happened, that I really don't remember the rest of my day after that. Honestly, it's like a blur. But I remember just, waking up going, how is it going to be tomorrow? Because I would wake up every day just hating life and so much pain and just like, oh, I didn't die in my sleep. Okay, here I am. Let's do this again. I never took another pill of my medication. I never went to my doctors again. And I had 4 specialists. I had an endocrinologist. I had a rheumatologist. I had a neurologist. And I had, 3 specialists and a GP. I never saw any of them again. I never took a pill again. If you were to go back to my medical records, they literally just stopped. Because I didn't need any of it anymore. It was done. And it never I was like, how is it going to be tomorrow? And then tomorrow, and then tomorrow, and then this week, that month, this month, that year. You know what I mean? Like, it was done. It was gone. Everything that was wrong and in me that, made me sick was gone from that whole experience. It was what I call a miracle and miraculous, because while I was, if you can see, I had to be the one to do it all. They didn't just go, oh, no, you're healed. Not even them. I had to do it. Get up, get into your body, listen to us, do what we tell you to do. And they didn't tell me that ahead of time, like, we're going to do this. And, it's not like they said that ahead of time. It was just, I popped back into my body and then it happened, but I had to do it. And so it got weird in the sense afterwards, because I got really angry. Sure, I was happy that I felt so much better. I was happy not to be in pain anymore. I was happy not to take pills every day, because I had a grip of them. I had a lot of medication. But I was really angry that for 40 years of my life, and at this point, my son had already graduated from high school. Our relationship greatly suffered because of how absent I had to be. And also, without getting too much into it, his father really took advantage of that. And there was this thing called parental alienation that he did with my son that really created a lot of issues. But if I was a healthy person, that would not have happened. But I was most of the time not a healthy person. So it took my child from me. It took a normal life from me. I didn't have friends anymore because for the year or two before that, I was like, I'm not even going to have, really try to, I just separated myself from everything because I'm like, I'm not fun to be around. This isn't good for other people. And I just, so it was like, I found myself not in physical pain and everything had changed to a certain degree. But at the same time, I was like, what the fuck? About 40 years, nearly 40 years at that point, and 18 years plus of my son's life. Right? I mean, you can understand this, right? That you would go, that was so easy. It happened in less than an hour. And for 40 years, I've been in hell. In hell. Why didn't that happen sooner? Why didn't it happen when my son was 15 or 10 or 5 or when I was 20 or, 15? Because my whole life, I've been in pain and I've been in hell. But it happened then. And so for the next 6 months, 8 months, year, I was pissed. I was just pissed. I was pissed. I was angry. I was just fucking angry. Like, you could just imagine just how angry you would be. Like, what the fuck, man? What the fuck? Why? Like, every day I'm just like, I feel great again. I woke up feeling great. What the fuck? Like, it was such a weird reality to find myself in. It was like, and then I was mad, and then I was upset that I was mad. I was upset that I couldn't enjoy how I felt because that I was still trapped. Because I was just angry. Thinking about all these things in my life and all these things. Well, little did I know, this whole thing set off the dark night of the soul. So it was like, boom, boom, boom. So now you're this, and now you're this, and now you're this. And now I'm in this, real, space of just, and the dark night of the soul is basically this space in which you start to really inventory your life and really think, about the timelines and how things connect and your part in it and what's, it's this whole kind of thing that goes on. Everybody's is different. But anyway, I didn't know at the time that that's what was going on. But that's what was going on. Christopher says, yes. Oh my God, I get that anger. Yeah, thank you. It really was just this whirlwind. I went from suicidal and in pain to no pain and angry, and then in this weird space, and so much had been changing, and it was just so weird. It was so weird. And it literally took, like the next 2.5 years, about 2 years from that point, to and a significant birthday. I think at that point I had, I think maybe that was like, no, it was just a birthday. It was like a 41 or 42, something like that. I can't remember. But that was another one that there was a big shift. And I had been seeing more and more and more of the same numbers, you guys, For forever, I was seeing 1213. That's my birthday, December 13th, and it would come up all the time. And I would just be like, but not my whole life, just, over the course of a few years before this event, right? And I would just always be like, that's so weird. I'm always seeing 1213, and that's my birthday. And then I started seeing 1, 2, 3, 4 all the time. And to a point where both of these sets of numbers became like freaky deaky. And I remember I had a roommate at the time. I remember this one day she came home and I was like, I need to understand what's going on with these fucking numbers, man. All I do is see them all the time. It's really freaking me out because it's like, she was like, have you tried Googling it? And I went, what? She goes, yeah. She goes, have you tried to Google it and see if anything comes up? And I went, no, it never occurred to me to do that. She goes, well, I don't know, try it. And I went, okay. So I did. And I put in, seeing the same numbers. I can't remember what I put in, but populates angel numbers and the whole thing. And literally that was truly the beginning of my spiritual awakening. So it wasn't the healing that spiritually woke me up. That happened like 2.5, 3 years before. I had this crazy, intense, miraculous healing event and went to another freaking dimension and all this stuff, but that didn't wake me up. It put me into another type of thing for a while. And every day it was just, it was just cycling through an inventory and trying to, trying to make sense of it. It was hard to make sense of it. And then the numbers. I mean, there's a lot of other shit that is all part of it too. But the point here is that I want to make, and I'm going to stop my story there. But the point here is that I'm trying to make is that, there's levels and stages, and it's never just one thing. It's never just one event. It's like layers. It's layers and layers and layers and layers, So that's basically the story. One of the stories. I have many stories of different healings since then, because that wasn't the only healing that I have been a part of and been guided to do, with myself and with the team and everything. But that was obviously the biggest one, the biggest, pimple to pop, if you will, to get things going, to release a lot of energy and get the ball rolling in a way that changed my life forever. Like, absolutely changed my life forever. And as you can see, I remember it very, very clearly because it's one of the most important events of my life, obviously. And even then, after all, it was like, it took so long for me to even though, like, they told me, you've always been this medicine man or medicine woman or healer, you've always, it's like, okay, and all you're okay, but I didn't really attribute it to this one. I still didn't think that I understood what they said, like, you absorb energy and there's this whole thing. And I started to, right before that, started to really understand about, first time to really understand about empaths through Louise Hay. And then I'd never heard of that or understood that. I started to understand that's what I was. But still, even back then, there wasn't the distinction of psychic, physical, empath. It was just empath. So it still didn't really resonate, to the core of it. So there's still a lot to figure out. It wasn't like this just made life perfect because I was healed from this condition that I had, which really, for anybody with fibro, that's what it is. It's an energy very specific, where it doesn't affect anything except for everything. And the transmutation of that energy fixes it. Well, that's the case for all ailments and conditions. But this one in particular is an energetic illness at the core of it to begin with. So, and those of us that are more susceptible to that, which are empaths, are going to be the ones that have that, have those types of conditions. So, or that one specifically. So while I had this one event, that wasn't the end all be all. There was a lot that came before it and a lot that came after it for me to understand more and more. First, I consciously healed one of my cats because I was just kind of guided to do that. I was like, I just moved and my one cat had the sniffles. I could tell she was all stressed. And I just was like compelled to like, it was kind of like, it kind of came through like, well, what if I kind of had the intention of taking whatever that energy was and that's making her sick. Like, I didn't know what I was doing, but I was just guided to do it. And I was like, I did some stuff with her and she slept for like the next 10 hours and woke up the next day totally fine. And I went, I wonder if that has anything to do with what I did. And then there's more with animals. There was a dove that lost his leg, fully ripped it off, that I was caring for, that I was like, or it didn't completely rip it off, but sort of like broke the bone and everything. Like he'd get really bad infections. And I was trying to like raise money to get his his leg amputated. And in the meantime, I was healing him the whole time. He never got an infection. His leg fell off. He was totally fine. And he was my dove for the next like 4 years till he died in bed with me. The first person, though, that I healed was right around that time. And this is going to be the last story that I tell tonight. It's really short. Hey, Ryan. I was with a friend of mine and we were going, we were in Laguna Beach, Southern California, and we were going to San Diego. So it's about a 2-hour drive. We're going to a big party. I was part of this full moon group, and there was fire dancers and drummers and all this hippy dippy, awesome enclave that I found myself connected to. And I was going with one of the girls down to San Diego to do this, but she showed up and she's like, my back is killing me, but she was driving us. And by the time we got to the party, she could barely walk and I could barely walk. She was like, I had this bad injury when she was only 22, but when she was like 17, she jumped off a cliff. She was from South Africa. She jumped off of a cliff into water, but she landed on the water, literally on her butt and messed up her tailbone and her lower back, and it was acting up. I had a bad lower back injury as well. And I was like, oh my, so by the time we got to the party, I thought my back was hurting because I had just sat in the car for 2 hours. Her back was already hurting. But by the time we got there, we were both not into dancing. We could both barely move. We were not having the good time that we had wanted to have. It really sucked. We were both standing there watching people dancing and jumping and doing all this cool shit. And her and I are looking at each other like, this sucks. And the same way that I got that, like, get up and take care of yourself business, it came through very strongly. You need to help her. You need to take care of her energy. She's in pain because of the energy. Do what you did for yourself and do it for her. And it will make you're feeling her pain. And I was like, okay, I go, her name was Sabrina. I go, Sabrina, can we do something right now? And she already knew I was woo, but we didn't know how woo at the time. She goes, yeah. I go, can we just do something? And we're literally standing there around. There's probably 80 people at this party or more at night around these circles, and all this stuff is going on. We didn't go anywhere prior. I just went, okay. And I turned her around and I started feeling her back, and I got down to her lower back and it was on fire. I could feel the heat. It was so hot. And I was like, all right. And I just started like moving energy of hers in her back. And I started pulling them. And I was like, and I just, and people were like watching, going, what is she doing? This is about, this is like in 2000, early 2000, right around 16, 17, somewhere in there. And I did that for a couple minutes and I didn't feel the heat anymore. And I was like, okay, shake your legs and whatever. And I go, okay, I think I'm done. How do you feel? And she turned around and the look on her face and she goes, oh my God, I feel amazing. And she starts jumping around and everybody was like, what did you do? And I was like, I don't know what I did. I don't know what I did. I just knew that I had to, and I felt fine too. So my back pain, I thought, oh, from sitting, it acted up my bad back from my injury and already had. No, what happened was that I was in pain because she was in pain. My back hurt because her back hurt. And when I got rid of her back pain, I got rid of my back pain. And I sat there the rest of the night going, that's interesting. That's interesting. Because this girl could barely move. She was shuffling along. She was turning her whole, like she was in so much pain. And so was I. It was severe. It was severe. And she, perfect. And people were like, what? Yeah. So, it took, there's all these little steps, right? So now here I am, so much time later. And my understanding, my abilities and how I work with people and all of things have just evolved and evolved and evolved. Excuse me, evolved and evolved and evolved. Just my own understanding of energy, connecting with all of the beautiful beings that I connect to now, from Gaia to Archangels to galactics and all the beautiful beings everywhere, the ancestors, spirit animals, dragons, fae, unicorn. I've worked with all of them in healing for myself and for others. I've taken people to these beautiful spaces like I was guided to do these things. And it's a dream and it's a miracle and I love it. And let me tell you now, I want to round this out with letting you all know that while I was very angry for a while, because, right? I got to a point several years ago, through the dark night of the soul and through understanding and more awareness and more things coming through to really help me understand. And I have none of that anger. I fully, completely cherish and love my story. It needed to be what it was, how it was, when it was, exactly the way that it was. I don't have that anything but complete and utter gratefulness and feeling blessed for my journey to that day and since that day. And that's a huge part of healing. There's many ways that we need to heal. And to heal and understand your story, your timelines, and not be angry about it, to see why it needed to be. I needed to experience myself, experiencing what I did, how I did, so I could know what it's like to feel all those things energetically and have a real practical experience of it. and have these things play out in such a way that it was basically training. It was boot camp for who I am today. And that's a beautiful thing. It's a full circle thing, you know, to be able to do that and to really feel that. I think about all of that, and it makes me emotional in a good way, not in a bad way. It's just, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to have that arch, you know. I thought for the longest time of my life that I was going to be in pain and miserable forever and ever until I died. And I was wrong. I was very, very wrong. And I want so many other people to be wrong too, for the best reasons. And telling stories like this will help people see what's possible, to open up doors, to blow off the lid of what we think we are and what we think we can do and why we are what we experience and all the things, you know, like we need to share these things so the world can understand. That's the mission here with this podcast. Is I'm starting off this podcast telling my story so to get the ball rolling, so more people can tell their stories, whatever that they are, how it helped transform. We're all still in a state of transformation. I'm not done healing in various ways. We're never done. We're not done evolving. We're not done ascending. We're not done being embodied in any of the things. We're never done. We're in process. But as we're in process, we're in a place of being able to share that process and where we were and where we are now, so we can help other people understand there is a road, there is a path. If you open up to it, it is there, and we will be guided to the places, people, and experiences that we need to take us through that journey. Okay, so that's basically what I wanted to talk about with you all today. I know you guys have been doing some comments here, so I want to see. Sean said a bit ago, I've been using muscle relaxant, ibuprofen, Tylenol, PM, and cannabis and CBD. Yeah, I used all of those things as well. I used to use Benadryl. Benadryl I would take a bunch of Benadryl to knock me out because it was so hard to fall asleep. It's really hard to fall asleep when you're in pain all the time. You know, it's hard. So you take things to knock yourself out. And yeah. Sean has joint pain. Yep, there you go, Angels. Thanks for the love and the hugs. Oh yes, my the butterfly that was here. Oh, that's amazing. Amy says, although our stories are quite different, hearing your story gives me so much hope that even though things are so rough right now, I'm where I'm supposed to be. Oh, that's lovely. You are where you're supposed to be. You are in process. You're getting yourself there. It won't be rough. It won't be rough that much longer. I promise. Trust the process, Jason says. Absolutely. Trust the process. Thanks for the hearts, Sean. I appreciate that. Oh, did I share this? Yes. So I hope you're all inspired. Oh, Sean says, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Magnesium is a muscle relaxant. Calcium is a muscle activator. Okie dokie. That makes sense. We got, is that a kitty cat? I can't tell what that is. You're going to make me use my glasses for this little emoji. Oh, I can't even use my glasses anymore. I did some recent healing on myself and I can't even use my glasses anymore. I barely wore my glasses in like a month and a half or whatever it's been. Meow, it is a kitty cat. Okay. He's always sending me cats. So anyway, thank you guys. Meow. Thank you guys so much for joining me here on my first inaugural premiere launch of my podcast. I really, really appreciate you all for being here and watching and listening to my story of my miraculous healing from fibromyalgia. As you can see, was pretty magical, right? Pretty magical. And my life has just been more and more magic ever since. And I want to bring that magic to more people. If you're guided to reach out and work with me directly or be in any one of my groups, I welcome you in, or just be a part of the the podcast group or whatever that you're guided to do. Reach out to me if you do, or you are compelled to work with me. You do want to work with me. I do offer consultations for serious souls. My calendar is booking up. So sooner than later is better. I'm about a week to 2 weeks out for new appointments, whether they're consultations or anything else. So that is what it is. I look forward to more stories, more time with you on Friday nights, everybody. Again, thank you so much for being here with me. Oh, Cassidy. Hi, Cassidy. We're just about to wrap up, but hi, it's good to see you. Got stars. Karen, thank you for sharing your story. She says, thank you so much for being here. I'm so stoked to feel you, to see your energy here. I miss you, girl. I hope you're good. Jason, thank you so much, Infiniti. Oh, thank you, sweetheart. And welcome. Jason's the newest member of my Unstoppable Empath group. I'm stoked that you were able to come here tonight and be with me. Amy, yes, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so the replay will post, I'm pretty sure right after we get done here. So yeah, it will be posted. It'll be on YouTube. It'll be on Facebook where you're at, on my page. Yep, definitely. Christopher, thank you. Hearing it all helps a lot. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I want to give hope to everybody. You know, if you're in pain, if you're sick, there is a way to not only, so this is the last thing I'm going to say, okay? I not only became normal and not in pain, I became superhuman. And that's the road for all of us. We have a timeline that exists that is the ultimate for us all. And first, it's about healing. It's about connecting. It's about embodying. It's about downloading. It's about getting more and more life force and more power and becoming the magical, beautiful, one-of-a-kind, divine incarnate being that you are meant to be. And know that to be true. You just keep going forward. The one thing you have to do, no matter what, is never, ever give up. Ever. It is a spiritual war. The dark do not want us healthy. The dark do not want us embodied. The dark do not want us to be our ultimate selves, because that is very threatening, especially the more and the more of us that become that. There's a lot of opposition against me. There always has been. There always will be. I am stubborn and diligent and have the mind of a Terminator with determination that nothing is ever going to stop me. Ever. I may get tired. I may need a break. I may need to cry. I may need a couple weeks off here and there, but never, ever will I give up doing what I'm meant to do here. And as long as you never give up, it will work out. I promise you that. And I'm here in whatever capacity I'm meant to be here for you. And I look forward to the future, see where we all go together, you guys. So thank you so much for joining me here today on this very first night of my podcast. I'll see you here next week. And as time goes on, I want more of you to be inspired to join me live, to be a guest, to tell your story. And it doesn't have to be, I don't want anybody to think, well, I'm still in process. Well, not everything's perfect. Well, I still have this going on. Well, I'm not ready to tell my story because there's, not everything is perfect. Guess what? It's never all going to be perfect and you're never going to be done. So we need to tell our story as we're in process. Okay. Lastly, when you go to my web, you go to the, any of the posts that I have for this or the Facebook group or whatever, there's a form to fill out. If you want to be on my podcast, please consider being on the podcast and us having a conversation. So you can see I am not, all whatever. Just me here. I'm real. I'm human. I'm magical. I'm divine. I'm just like you. I want to have a good time. This is very serious, passionate, fun business that we're doing here. And there's no limits and there's no constraints. And you know what I mean? We just be together. Okay. All right, guys. I love you, love you, love you. Thank you so much. You go, girl. Oh, thank you. Remember, never give up. Infinite love and blessings. And I will see you all soon. Thank you so much again for being here. Mwah. I love you all. Bye for now, everybody. Bye, bye, bye. Bye. Till next time. See you later. Have a wonderful weekend, you guys. Bye.